Alright, welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today we're going to talk about Outcast Season 1, Episode 6. I enjoyed this episode a little more than last week. Last week I think I got hung up on a few details that just took me out of the enjoyment of the episode, like the paint and some of the range on the actress's expression and stuff like that. First off, there's a lot of tapes we see in the very beginning. I want to get this out of the way for two reasons. One, I think that whole pile of tapes, I feel, was all the possessions and exorcisms that he did. I didn't know if there was some people out there thinking that he was cherry picking and there's only, 10 tapes out of that whole pile that were exorcisms and he was just picking out the possession tapes. But I looked at it as in, which I'm sure a lot of you did too, that whole pile, every single one was an exorcism, which goes from being like, oh shit, to oh shit. You know what I mean? That also would explain why Cinemax sent me 2 VHS tapes. There was no titties on here, just like dead dogs and shit. Some weird shit. Anyway, or at least I'm hoping that's from Cinemax. Yeah, so they sent me these VHS tapes. I know there's probably a few people watching this who were like, what the hell are VHS tapes? Well, this was pretty cool because they put episode 1 on one and episode 2 on another one. And when they sent it to me, I got to watch it all grainy and blurry. If you guys remember VHS tapes with all the tracking and shit. So that was pretty enjoyable. I'm joking. I watched some of it just to see how it looked like and to see if there was anything in the back of them. But I watched on Cinemax Go for a high-def picture. Anyway, let's get right to the Reverend Anderson talking to the woman. I want to put this out here real quick. I really enjoy writing that feels authentic to real life, where the woman said she learned more about her husband cleaning out his locker or cleaning out his glove box than she learned from him over the past 15 or 17 years of marriage or being in his bed. I forget how she put it. But I really love those little moments of dialogue where you can tell maybe the writer just had a profound thought, or she overheard somebody like a family member or a friend, or maybe they overheard it in a story. I mean, something like that. Again, it taps into the realism where I can picture somebody saying that or having that realization that shit, they don't even, a loved one passes away and they find out more about them cleaning out their locker than they thought they knew of him. You know what I mean? So just that little bit of dialogue. But getting to the camera angles and the directing, there was a moment where Reverend Anderson, something's in my eye, what the hell? Reverend Anderson and the girl trying to get in his pants. I forget who the hell she is, but she's trying to get into the preacher's pants. Well, they opened the door where we knew he had somebody that was possessed back there, but we didn't get the reveal till later. And the door opens and it's nice and smooth. It's subtle, but I liked it so much. And when the door closed, it's like they weren't there. It was as if they whoosh, vanished, you know? It's not like that, but it gives you that feel, you know? When we transition out of that into Kyle Barnes as if he's getting a breath of fresh air out there work. Well, he's outside, that's all we see. And it has a nice open feeling to it, you know, open, fresh, clean air, nature. It has that vibe in just that camera angle. But then when it pans down to doing road work, you know, if it's clustered now, it's not open like before, or at least it has that feel. I think setting that up in those shots, again, in just a matter of seconds, you know, without using dialogue to show what's going on or to give you that feeling, they use the visuals or the misdirect, you know, because as the camera pans down, now we get, instead of a beautiful sky, we get guys breaking their backs, sweating, working. It's crowded clusters. You got a boss yelling at you, get to work, da-da-da-da. It's hot, you know what I'm saying? So just that little bit. And if you go back and rewatch it, they have some moments that are like that I really enjoyed, I really appreciate throughout the episode. However, there's a couple when the cop is talking to the one girl, he found her DNA there. He's all the way over here, and then she's all the way over here. If you go back and rewatch it, that was a bit jarring. Took me out of the moment, but Mildred, we got a little reveal when she smacked him in the face with her cane. Now, she got on top of him and she said that you're not supposed to be just for me. I believe that's what she said, something along those lines, meaning her and the entire group, which right now we're getting the feel that there was Mildred, her and a whole slew of others, and Sidney, the guy in all black, the older gentleman with gray hair in all black, he is kind of like the leader, or he has a higher rank than everyone else that we've seen so far. And by the end of the episode, the girl's asking, what about me? And she is dangerous to their cause because she's being selfish, because apparently from the previous episode we know she's not going to survive. Her black gooey form won't, or maybe it was the human form that she's attached to now. I don't even know how that works, but she's not going to survive until the merge. And it appears that she was trying to pull some life out of Kyle, or maybe whatever she draws out of him, it rejuvenates her somewhat, so maybe she can last longer. That's the vibe I got out of it. But she said, well, what about me, to Sidney later, and then we find that Carl, this isn't The Walking Dead, motherfucker. Kyle finds her dead on her porch later on, so Sidney kills her somehow and stashes her body where no one finds it. Just so happens. Anyway, I just thought about that now. Wouldn't it be odd, or wouldn't someone notice? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, moving on, we got the big guy. Let's talk about the possessions for a second. The real big guy beats their ass. Now, this was a combination of something from the comic. I believe they actually took it from a different part of the story, because in the comic it had a lot of humor in it too, because if it's the right scene they could have done something different. But in the comic they go down into someone's house in the basement, and Kyle said something like, oh, you're a big fella, and then he gets his shit beat out of him. They had some humor in that moment. But even in the comic book, there's some back and forth between Reverend Anderson and Kyle about faith, about getting to the bottom of what's going on, and just Kyle being special. But it was like more highlighted, I feel, on the show. They might revisit that in the comic, but for now, it was more aggressive in the show. And I think it was, as far as placement in the story and what we know from the comic that's coming up, I think they're doing well with the placement and the pacing, because to break him down and then at the end of this episode have the demon, so to speak, cut him, put a symbol in him that is going to be a reminder for him every day. I think this is either the moment where he might get broken down a little bit more, but eventually he's going to bounce back. This might be the moment actually where he does start bouncing back somewhat and becoming stronger in his faith and trying to really stamp out the demon. And I say that, finger quotes, because again, right now it's either looking like it is the demon or demon-like in some different way with a twist, or it is in fact an alien invasion. Nope. Or it is an alien. You know what? Yeah, this could be like a soft invasion, right? Is that a stupid way to put it? Where they're invading Earth, but they're doing it undercover, under the radar. And we have never had an alien movie like that or show before that I could think of. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth yet, because there probably definitely is one, and I'm not remembering it. It'll be like the Body Snatchers or some shit like that. Let me think. My God, it was so long since I've watched oh man, I haven't watched like an alien show or movie since I was a kid, unless it was like Independence Day, you know what I mean? Anyway, I don't want to ramble about soft invasions, hard invasions, and on Cinemax this conversation could go sideways pretty easy. So I like this episode. I'm having a lot of fun with Outcast, and this is coming from a person who doesn't like possession, exorcism stories at all. You can't drag me. You got to put a gun to my head to go see the everyday preacher goes, person's possessed, they have an exorcism, dun dun dun, is it really over? I hate them so much, and I'm actually really enjoying this. And again, I think a large part of that is because they take certain things, especially in the comic where we're at, and I'm not going to spoil it here, but they take certain things that are cliches, so to speak, or TV tropes in possession and exorcism stories, and they kind of put them on their head. You'll see coming up. They're definitely going to do a certain thing I'm thinking of before the season ends. So, what did you think about Outcast Season 1, Episode 6? Put your thoughts and opinions down in that comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn. Subscribe now.